What is up, guys? It is DJ Martini Midwest Reviews coming at you with another video for my channel today. I have a really cool video. I'm outside hanging out with my cameraman, and we are going to bring you a cool video on the Keter Manor 4x6 shed. I've seen a lot of reviews out there, but they kind of talk about putting it together and things like that. I just want to talk about the basics, and so we're going to get into that. I have some notes here that I want to get into. And so we're going to talk about the shed because it has some mixed reviews. DJ Martini Midwest Reviews, my channel, because I have a lot of content this summer that I'm going to be bringing to you, including oddballs like this one about this Keter shed. I like to do the research. I like to look everything out, give you positives and negatives, give it to you as easy as possible, and then leave some links in case you're interested in some of these products. I'm going to give you the full rundown on the shed. I'm going to walk you around it, do all those types of things, talk about some issues, putting it together, talk about what you're going to need. So I have a lot of information, so let's jump right into this video. So we got the Keter Manor shed. It is a 4x6 shed. It is an outdoor shed. It is made of polypropylene resin plastic, which we'll go and take a look at everything when I do my walk around here. I just want to talk about some of the aesthetics and things and the things you will need when you get the item. I usually do an unboxing, but I'm not going to do that today, of course, because we already got it built. But it does come in probably a 6-foot long box, but it is very skinny, so you'll be able to kind of carry it by yourself and maneuver it around. It's not a crazy box. It is probably only about 6 to 8 inches thick, and it was actually delivered I got it from Amazon, and it was actually delivered by a delivery company that actually assisted me putting it in my garage. So that was a nice little delivery extra, and then they probably honestly would help you move it to wherever you wanted to put it. So it was very nice there. So the price for this Keter Manor shed is between $470 and $569, depending on where you get it. I actually got mine for the $470, so it was actually pretty good. It's a 4-foot wide shed, 6-foot deep shed. It does have 131.8 cubic feet of interior storage. It is actually, in my opinion, pretty durable if everything comes together correctly. I think that's some of the 3,000 reviews on the shed was mostly issues were mostly because putting it together, issues with shipping, being pieces damaged, pieces missing, and then not very well constructed, so pieces would break easy and things like that. But if everything comes correctly in the box, you get all the pieces, it was pretty solid to put together. I did it by myself in about 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I did have to get some help because I actually put the roof on wrong, and I'll tell you why I did that in a little bit later. I was able to get that flipped around and no problem and continue on. So it does have some nice features that we're going to go ahead and talk about here in a second when I do my walk around. But I just want to talk about really quick is what items you're going to need to put it together. I would suggest some kind of cordless power drill. It's definitely going to save you time and energy if you have that. Instead of using a normal screwdriver, you're going to need some kind of soft hammer or a rubber mallet to be able to just kind of assist you getting things together. But I didn't use a hammer a lot. You're definitely going to need some kind of scissors or knife, some kind of box cutter, of course, to get the box open, get some of the zip ties cut. Everything's in bags, so you need to cut those open, things like that. And then I would also suggest having the tool that they provide is this little plastic guide. It's almost like a little scraper tool, which was very helpful in getting the pieces to fit together at the top, and I'll show you kind of how that works in a minute. And then also you're going to need a small little drill bit set because there is a few parts where I kind of altered this, but I think even for them, they asked you to kind of drill a hole for some piece in the door. So my personal opinion, I think this is a decent shed so far, and we'll get into all the pieces as we do the walk around. So let's go ahead and switch views, and I'll go and take you for a walk around and kind of talk about it as we walk around. We're going to go ahead and take a walk around the shed in a second here, but I want to show you a couple things when you're starting out. So first, you're going to want some kind of nice baseboard, or I built like a little cement pad under this. I have rocks on the area, and then I have 12 by 12 little patio pavers underneath this whole item. So you're going to want to build a nice floor for it, a nice flat floor. That way you're kind of on a nice, you can build, you know, whatever you want, you know, 2x4s and an actual like platform, thin poly floor for it, but that's up to you guys. I went with just an easy patio pavers, which was relatively inexpensive to get done. And I'm also going to show you some stuff on the doors. It does come with the latch and all the hinges, the door, all the plastic pieces, so there is a lot of pieces, but if you just follow the instructions, it actually was pretty useful and handy. I probably had this for about a month and everything looks pretty good. I do have a little rust there, but that is only because I actually sanded down the screws because I don't want anybody to take them out, because honestly it would be pretty easy to get in the shed if you actually really wanted to, because one, it's not very thick, and two, all you'd have to do is take the screws out and you could take the latches out. So I put some different screws in here actually with bolts on the back, so you can't take it apart. So but it does come with everything. It does have a little vent up top up here. The roof is actually nice and pretty sturdy. Now you can see that this thing is sturdy. It's not going anywhere, so I do like that. So I don't understand some of the comments about it just being super flimsy, because it is pretty sturdy, you know, not moving wise. So we're gonna come over here real quick, and on the side there is a window here. You're gonna have to kind of sneak in here. There is a window here, but I just blacked it out because I really don't want people to see into my shed. So I could actually live without the window, but there is a window here if you guys are interested. You can see that there's a nice texture on it has a nice kind of wood texture on the plastic here. These are thin, but like I said, it is pretty sturdy here. And then we can go around to the back. On the back is a solid piece with a little vent on the bottom. And then, like I said, you know, it's kind of up to you how many I ended up with some extra screws, but it's kind of up to you how many screws you want to place in this. But there, and I also did anchor it to my porch to make sure that it's not gonna you know, fly away or anything like that, but it is pretty sturdy. I come around this side. Still got that wood grain and everything, and it, you know, looking good. So let's go ahead and step in the shed, and we'll go ahead and talk about a little bit of things that I want to talk about inside the shed. Go ahead and open your latch here, and the door should just swing and lock tight. So these are a little harder to take off if you were trying to take off the hardware and get into it. You can see the storage in here. There's plenty of room here. I actually put some soft padding on the floor here, which makes it nice. But the actual, it's still corrugated plastic that is on the floor as well, so it does come with some kind of flooring. But like I said, you definitely want to build something with a little bit more support, and that's why I put patio stones down right underneath this. Inside, the walls, like I said, are a little bit flimsy, but like I said, you wouldn't want to probably hang a lot of stuff from them, but it still holds nicely. It's definitely a storage shed. It's going to be able to store your items here. The only place that you could probably hang some stuff from is probably these plastic inserts are pretty sturdy, so you could actually put a screw in there and probably hang some items if you wanted to hang some items. If not, you could definitely build some support on them with some kind of boards, and you could, you know, make your own little bit reinforced shed. But other than that, for just my needs, which was just to have an extra little space to put some totes and things that I wanted to put in here, this is just what I needed. You can see that I have these totes that are probably 2x2 totes, and you know, I can stack them all the way to the ceiling. I have pretty good. I'm 6 foot tall, and you know, my head goes all the way to the ceiling. So, plenty of room for like extra little storage that you have. You could do so many little things with this shed actually. In here it is a little hot, so make sure you don't put anything in here that's going to melt, or you could have some issues. Let's talk about the window here real quick. The window, I did Plasti Dip black, that way you can't really see in here. I did leave the film on. It is a plastic window. I did leave the film on it, and that way when I want to have a clean window, if I ever want that, I can just peel the film off and you'll have a clean sheet of plastic window there. So It is a little cheap. Like I said, honestly, if somebody really wanted to get in here, they absolutely could, because like I said, this is 1/2 inch corrugated plastic. Other than that, everything went pretty good. Just make sure that on your roof, you make sure that this piece where it says this side down, that means that's going to be the bottom side of the roof, because it actually has a seam in the middle, and if you left that seam on the top, it's just going to like collect water. So another little thing, but everything was pretty easy to put together if you just kind of follow those instructions. I just want to show you guys one more thing if you want to step in here real quick. At the top, I want to show you this vent. On the vent, I just put a little of mesh up here. That way it kind of keeps the insects out. Nothing fancy, but I think it's a good idea just to keep insects out of here. No problem. So we're gonna go back outside, guys. I'm gonna follow up with pros and cons. Pros and cons on the Keter Manor 4x6 resin outdoor shed. It is gray and white. It does have a wood faux finish embedded into the plastic. That's why you need to make sure you put the right plastic on the right side. It does have 131.8 cubic feet of room, which is definitely a positive. Price point is a positive, being that $470 to $570 range. It is a lot cheaper than a Rubbermaid shed that costs $800 to $1,200. So just price point in itself is really the reason why I picked this up. So I just wanted to pass that to you, that I think price point and value is definitely a key to this item. It's not that hard to put together if you have a little bit of skills and you can follow instructions. If you're a little bit handy and you have these tools, like I said, you should be able to put this together no problem. And I did it by myself in about 2.5 hours, so not too bad. I did have some assistance when I had to flip the roof around, but other than that, I pretty much did it by myself. The construction's okay as long as you have all the pieces, and as long as nothing comes damaged, you should have no problems putting it together. It is waterproof so far. You can lock it. Like I said, you can put a padlock on it. I put a lock like this on it, but this is really kind of hard to get into the lock because it's a round hook lock and it's kind of narrow. So it's kind of hard to put on, but you can squeeze it on, but it is hard to put on and take off. So a normal padlock would probably work a little bit better. It is lockable. The assembly was okay. It does have some metal tubes in the roof that you actually physically put in yourself. So I don't think that's really super sturdy, but that's kind of one of the things they put in there for a positive. And then the waterproof, it is so far been waterproof for me. There's no water in there, so I'm actually pretty stoked that it is waterproof in there. So negatives for me, guys, is the window. I'm not a big fan of the window. I can live without it. And it is really light, so the walls are pretty thin and those types of things, but you know, it just works. It's just working right now and it's staying up. So once you put some items in it, it'll definitely weigh it down a little bit, but it is light, so you definitely want to try to anchor it to something on the ground, whether if you put like some kind of tie down straps and anchor that into the ground and then connect that to the shed or to your porch or whatever you have the shed. I would definitely just kind of anchor it down at least at 2 points somewhere on the shed. That way it can move around a little bit, but it's not going to completely fly away. It will not peel, it will not rot, and it will not rust because of the plasticness of the whole shed. The only thing that will rust is your front hardware there. That will rust because it is metal pieces, and if the paint chips, you will get a little bit of rust on them, but so far so good. I have a little bit of rust on the screws, so that's because I physically sanded them down, so you can't take them out. They're pretty much drilled out, that way you can't take them out. I wanted to just show you one last thing on this tool, how it kind of assists you putting the shed together. I'm just gonna go back here. So this tool does work pretty good, and you usually use it on the inside of the shed to fit the pieces together, and it fits into the gap here. You can see that it's stuck in there, and then you use it to slide down the plastic, and you slide down the plastic, and then you are able to get it to fit together on both sides. You can also see too that if you scratch this up, you can definitely see the scratches on the plastic as well. So, you know, that could be a negative too because it easily scratches, but not a big deal. Just a storage shed, it's going to get beat up a little bit. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to DJ Martini Midwest. This is the Keter Manor 4x6 shed because I think it's a pretty good value at the price point. And then I also want to tell you that most of the negative reviews were because of the pieces coming damaged, it missing pieces, and it being a little bit flimsy. Yeah, it's going to be a little flimsy if you don't put anything in it, you don't weigh it down, you don't anchor it, you don't do the thing, you don't put it on a solid surface when you're putting it down. Those types of things will happen, but for the most part, if it comes together in a good shape, you have all the parts, you put it together, you put things in it, it should be good to go. I'm actually a fan of the shed for the price point and the ease of putting it together. This has been the Keter Manor outdoor shed. I think it's totally worth it for the $470 if you just need a little place to store some things. DJ Martini Midwest Reviews. Plenty of more content coming for you later.